Let me see, I lost the meeting.
What? No,
You can
you're
see me?
here.
Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay, great. Thanks. Well, I just want to thank everybody for their attendance today and participation in the Brazoria Galveston County Lunch and Learns that have been sponsored by a variety of independent school districts that have come together to support parents and families with children in special education. Particularly want to thank Consolidated Planning Group for their continued support throughout this school year, both in offering a variety of presentations to our families, but also in hosting these meetings and then sending out the information to people that registered and possibly weren't able to attend or wanted to review the information. So today we have our last one for the 21-22 school year, and it is Launching Your Teen into Adulthood. And Michelle Morris is our presenter today. So thank you, Michelle, for being with us.
Thank you, Edith, so much for having us here today. We really love educating and advocating for the community, and we're proud to be able to help and to serve the community. So thank you so much for having us and for helping spread the word. A couple of little housekeeping items before we get started today. So this is a Zoom webinar, not a meeting. So your screens or your cameras are off. You are all muted. I can't see you or hear you. But if you have any questions or comments, you can just go ahead and put those in the chat box. And Edith will be stopping me periodically to let me know if there are questions that need to be answered. But I'm also trying to keep my eye on it a little bit while I go through my slides. We are recording this session, and after everything is over, we will go ahead and send that recording out to everybody who is registered. So if you need to step away or anything like that today, if you want to review it later, no worries, we've got you covered. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I am Michelle Morris from Consolidated Planning Group. We are a holistic planning firm. We specialize in working with families. I would say about 99.5% of the families that we work with have special needs loved ones to watch out for. So we really work a lot with protection plans, lifetime care. We run a great lifetime cost estimate to help figure out future care costs. We work a lot with transition planning and ABLE accounts. And of course, like I said, education and advocacy are two of our biggest, are near and dear to our hearts, because the owner of the company, Consolidated Planning Group, her name is Allison Scobber. She typically gives these webinars, but she is busy today, so you've got me. Allison and her husband have 4 children between the two of them, and 2 of them have special needs. So she found, as she was going through her own children's transitions into adulthood, that it's quite complicated. And, you know, she had been in financial planning services for 25 years. It's almost 30 years now. And she said to herself, why is this so complicated? I have been in planning my whole life. This shouldn't be this difficult. And at that point, she decided to take the company towards this advocacy and education track, and trying to help other parents out there with special needs loved ones to figure out what needs to be done and how to do it, and helping people figure out what they don't know. And, you know, we have people come to us every day who say, Michelle, I don't even know what questions to ask. I don't know what to do. It's so complicated. There's so much to keep in mind and keep track of. And I simply don't have the time to worry about all of this. So we are here to help. You know, we're here to be a guide for you, to give you a roadmap, what to do, what not to do, who to call, what to say. We're here for you. So today we're going to go over transitions, tips for launching your special needs child into adulthood. So first of all, I want to talk about having realistic expectations for your child. You need to understand who they are, where they're coming from, what's going on with them. We're not here to say this should have and could have and would have. We're here to look to the future. A lot of times parents start comparing their kids really early, oh, my kid is already talking, my kid is already walking, my kid is in the honors program. With these kinds of situations, you can't do that. Your child might be on a non-traditional path. Allison likes to always say that, maybe they're not quite there yet. Maybe they'll arrive late to the party. I like to think of it as one of my favorite snacks, popcorn. You put the kernels in, you put the oil in, you have your pot. All of the kernels are in the oil at the same temperature, but they don't all pop at the same time. And maybe your child is one of those kernels that just hasn't popped yet. Maybe your child is one of those kernels that will end up in the bottom of the bowl and not pop, and that's okay. We want to be there for them no matter what. So keep an open mind when you're going through this. College might not be the right path for every child. There are other things that we can think about. Consider some options like maybe delaying their driver's license. And there are certain programs that they can get into that are meant for children with special needs that kind of help assess whether or not they're ready to drive and help teach driving at driver's ed. You can think about trade schools and community colleges. They might not have all the same criteria to get in, admission criteria, as larger colleges. If your child is maybe not interested or not able, or just it's too much stress to put them through the SAT and the ACT, trade schools and community colleges don't meet those necessarily. So that might be a good way to get them in, let them test the waters, maybe take a couple of courses, but not a full load, and see, is college going to be right? Can they get maybe a degree or a apprenticeship or a certificate program? There's so many options out there. There's the TWC, Texas Workforce Commission Vocational Rehab Program. People talk about that a lot, the VR program. And this is great to help you and your child determine what barriers there might be to employment. And not only what those barriers are, but how can we get past them and help your child find some employment. There's training programs, they do testing, all of this stuff. So that's a great resource for people to look at. There might be an apprenticeship, a registered apprenticeship that would work for your child. As I mentioned, a reduced course load. Living at home, maybe instead of being on campus, might be better for your family. And like I said, don't compare your child to others. Where you are is just where you are. They're not late, they're not early, they just are where they are, and that's okay, that's fine. All right. Finding a good fit. So when you're thinking about schools and colleges, you're thinking about extracurricular activities and their career path and the work setting for your child. There's many different options out there. And just because you've maybe had a dream in your head this whole time that your child is going to go to the same school as you did and be a legacy and do all the same things that you were interested in, well, that's not always the case, and that's fine. There are some accommodations that can be made with SAT and ACT, AP exams, college courses, and even graduate level exams. You can go to the school and ask them about accommodations. You want to just check what the requirements are early and be prepared in advance, because it does take a little bit more preparation. You need to determine what accommodations are necessary and let the schools know. Don't pose undue hardship on the school or on the testing site in terms of those accommodations. But, it is important and you can get those done. FERPA, I want to talk about that for a second. FERPA is a form that is needed to get information about your child. And this goes with all children who go away from home when they become adults, or go to a college program. What if something happens while they're at school and they're 18? They no longer have to report everything to you because this is an adult we're talking about. For example, even my child is away at college in Chicago. I'm here in Texas, just outside of Houston. And we don't use FERPA, but we do have a medical power of attorney and a general power of attorney so that everybody knows that they can talk to me when it comes to if anything happens to him. So it's just something to consider, something to keep in mind that you might need. So there are other options beyond high school. The great educational options. So these are some of the programs that are available. We don't work for them and they don't work for us. As a matter of fact, none of the lists that I'm going to show you today, we don't have any connection to, other than we know that they're out there and we know that people are looking for this kind of information. So these are some of the educational options beyond high school that are out there, different programs. For example, the VAST Academy at HCC, the Non-Periel Institute, the CASE program at Texas Tech, just different ideas of things that you might want to look into for your family. Another option, another path that you might want to look into. As I said, we don't work for them, they don't work for us, but we have heard of Bloom Consulting and we are fans. They have a program called Campus Connections, and they help support college students with various disabilities throughout their college or post-secondary career. They can do in-person or virtual support. They use a wraparound planning process that helps them build an individual support team for your student. And they give them a connections coach to provide mentoring and guidance and support throughout their post-secondary schooling. So it helps students really face their problems and think of problem solving abilities more effectively, come up with solutions, ideas, not have to call mommy and daddy quite so much for every little question, because Bloom Consulting kind of helps discuss things and prepare them a little bit more. So there's information here about the cost. It's $1,000 a month is private pay. It's not in everybody's budget, we get that. And the information right here for who you can contact as well. So when you're thinking about special needs and special needs planning and getting your child from high school to whatever the next step might be, there's a lot to consider. And there's a lot to think about when you're talking about special needs planning. It's a very specialized field. There are only a very few financial companies like ours that focus on this area. You really need to understand the difference between a special needs planner, which is what we do, versus a special needs attorney. Now you want to go to the right kind of attorney for your family. You wouldn't go to a real estate attorney to work on your special needs guardianship or a special needs trust or help you with your will. You want somebody who is an expert in that area of the field. It's the same with planning. You don't want to go to just any other financial planner if you have special needs planning that needs to be done. And we are different. We are not lawyers. We cannot write up a will or a special needs trust or set up guardianship for you. Those things are all left to the attorneys. Now, we can recommend some great attorneys in your area who can do those things, but that's not us. You need to work with a special needs planner. We help you formulate a plan for yourself and your family. Most people think of retirement as myself and my spouse are going to be in retirement for maybe 20 or 30 years after we're finished working, and we need money to help pay for our lives during our retirement. But when you have a special needs child, if they might need care for the rest of their life, that's kind of like a third retirement bucket, or fourth if you've got 2 children with special needs, or however many. So it's really important to think about that ahead of time and prepare yourself for that. So we take a look at all of your planning documents, what you have in order, and we can help you review those. We also help develop a letter of intent. This is kind of like a love letter to your family and to whomever it is that might come along after you in case of your absence and need to take care of your child. So if you're gone, what would you want somebody who is going to step in, what would you want them to know? Think about your child and what they love and what they hate, and what really puts them on edge, and what helps calm them down, and what their routines are. And of course, the facts, where they were born, who their doctors are, what their diagnoses are, what medications. But anything that you would want someone else to know about your child and their life. We're with them day in and day out. You eat, sleep, and breathe it, and it becomes just second nature to you. But if you're gone, someone else needs to step in. They need to know. So we recommend that you develop this letter of intent. Do it electronically, because that way you can go back. Like if it's a Word document, you can just go back and edit and change things. Whereas if you have it written down, it's a little harder for people to read your scribbles, maybe. At least it would be for me. So it's just something to think about. You also want to formulate your vision of how you want things to look, how you hope things will look for your child in the future. We always recommend that people hope for the best, stay positive, stay hopeful, but plan for other eventualities as well. And that way you have a plan in place no matter what. And if you don't need that plan, great, but it'll be there if you need it. It doesn't look like we have any questions yet. Yes, this is being recorded. Don't forget, if you have questions or comments, you can put them in the chat box. Okay, so think about who that person is going to be, who will care for your child once you're gone. Hopefully you've already put some thought into that, but if you think about it now, it will help alleviate so much stress in the future. It's really important to think about it. You might want to consider touring care facilities like Marbridge and Brookwood, Daymark Living, things like that. And if you're considering a care facility like that, please keep in mind that the wait list can be pretty long. So if you start touring them, think about it a few years in advance. Make sure you know what the waitlist situation is like and what you're getting yourself into. Another thing to think about that we always say is you want to make very careful considerations before naming a sibling as a future caregiver. It's wonderful, and siblings often want to be helpful and they want to be useful. But if something happens to you and your child's sibling is maybe in their 20s or 30s, and all of a sudden they have to start taking care of their brother or sister. It can be a lot. And we would prefer that they keep a loving, friendly, supportive relationship rather than turning it into something that is obligatory. And yes, I said I would care for my brother, but did I really mean that now that I've got my own 2 kids and my career and I'm trying to do my own thing? You just don't want to foster any resentment between your children. So sometimes it's really, you really need to put a lot of thought into that before you just designate a sibling as a future caregiver. Think about how your child's care is going to be funded. Like I said, this is kind of like a third bucket of retirement, and it can be quite expensive. We're talking about in the millions here. If you think about the cost of care, and we can do a future care cost estimate for you to put together some of those numbers, but you think about once you're gone, if your child is going to need care for 20 or 30 or 40 years, how much will that cost? Do they need partial residential care, full residential care? Do they need just an attendant to come and check in on them? So you want to make sure that you preserve their eligibility for all of the state and federally funded programs like SSI and the waiver programs. Those are really helpful. And if they lose eligibility for that, it makes a big impact. And that's a big source of funding gone. You need to establish a special needs trust to fund their future care. They cannot have more than $2,000 in their name, except for in a special needs trust or in an ABLE account. You can have those 2 places with some money for your kiddos, but if they have more than $2,000 in their names, again, they're going to lose those SSI benefits. You might think about your current life insurance and your assets and how those are going to provide funding for the special needs trust. Do you have adequate amounts to leave in that trust once you're gone? An ABLE account, as I mentioned, is another place where you could have some money. So an ABLE account, you probably have heard of a 529 college savings plan. That's a 529C. The 529A is the ABLE account. So you can put $16,000 in per year and additional money if the child is working. And your disability must have began prior to age 26. So with the ABLE account, that money can be used for college, like a college savings account. However, that's not the only place that money can be used. So if your child is maybe not the college type, then you can use that money for other things like tutoring or laptops or a car, or really anything that can help provide a better life for your child. So what do you need to know about ABLE accounts? The beneficiary is the account owner. Earned income is not taxable, so that's good. The contributions are not deductible, although some states might offer state income tax deductions. So you need to, talk to an expert in ABLE accounts. Think about all of the rules and regulations surrounding them. It won't jeopardize the SSI benefits or Medicaid or any other public benefits like the waiver programs that are out there. And there are limits. So like I said, you can put $16,000 a year into an ABLE account. You can have technically an unlimited amount of money in the ABLE account. However, pay attention. If you have over $100,000 in the ABLE account, you will lose other benefits. So the ABLE account is kind of a place where you need to play the game a little bit with the system. Make sure that you don't have too much, because then you'll lose out on other things. Money over $100,000 can just go to the special needs trust instead. And you kind of don't want too much left over in an ABLE account at the end of your child's life, because there could be a Medicaid drawback. So the special needs trust and guardianship. Is guardianship on your radar? So a special needs trust, like I said, you can have money in there for your child and they will still keep their benefits, and it will help provide resources for them throughout their life. If guardianship is something that you're considering, you know, it's a touchy subject because you are taking some of their rights away, and that's touchy, you know, but you can apply for guardianship 6 months before they turn 18. You would have to speak with a special needs attorney to get that done, and they will help you determine the right level of guardianship for your child. I think the rule is that it has to be the least restrictive option. You know, we don't want to take away all the rights from your child and, you know, just for the fun of it. We want to be careful and make sure that you're doing the right thing. And the attorney, a special needs attorney, will be able to help you figure that out. And we can refer you to someone fabulous in your area who specializes in this, in these situations. A couple of other resources for transition planning. Dude, where's my transition plan? And like I said, you'll get this in email, so don't worry about writing it all down. There's the Oregon Transition Handbook, Texas Reality Check. And there are some, yes, Texas Reality Check. I did see a question pop up in the chat. You can have both an ABLE account and a special needs trust. And it's good if you do, because there are rules and regulations, and we do an entire webinar on just special needs trust and ABLE account, and why do you need both and which does what. But there are rules about which account can pay for which things. For example, one of them can pay for housing, rent or a mortgage or whatever, and the other one can't. So we help get you through all of that information, but you definitely should have both an ABLE account and a special needs trust. And I know somebody's going to ask me which is which, but now that I'm on camera and I'm a little bit nervous, I can't remember. It fell out of my brain. So I hope you'll forgive me for that. And you can look it up. We can send you more information later. There are some great transitional residential programs out there, like the Full Shore Treatment to Transition. It's a program for women ages 18 to 24, struggling with depression, anxiety, personality disorders, addictions, things like that. So that's something interesting that you can look into. The Monarch School is another option. They receive residential, academic, social, and employment opportunities. And it really gives them a plan, an opportunity to practice and, you know, learn those executive functioning things that many of our children are behind on, and really become contributors. Another option is the Advanced Immersion Transition Program. It's here in Houston. It's through Gateway Academy, so you might want to look into that, and helps them gain more independence and learn what they need to do. There's Reach Unlimited up in Cypress. I say up because I am on the south side of Houston. So Reach Unlimited gives people with IDD, you know, a place to live and learn and grow. And they are served by volunteers. So it's another good program. There are gap year residential programs that you can consider, like the Dynamy Internship Year. It's a non-therapeutic gap year program, and it is in Massachusetts, but you know, it's something to consider. More things that need to be kind of on your radar as you're going down this path. how to come up with a special needs care plan. What do you need to do? What do you need to think about? These are all things that consolidated planning group can help you with. Your future care cost estimate. If it's going to be millions of dollars to take care of your child, what does that look like for you? And we want to put a number in the back of your head that you think of as, okay, that's how much I need to have. And when I pass away, that's how much I need to be able to leave to take care of my child. Making sure you're on the Texas waiver interest lists. These lists can be really long, like 15 to 17 years. They're not always that bad, but they can be. And so it's important to get on those lists as early as possible. There is such a thing as a crisis diversion slot, where if your child is in danger of, hurting themselves or others, or if something changes to where, one of the caregivers becomes ill or passes away or is disabled, or, something big is happening in the household and you're really worried that your child might have to go to some sort of a care facility because you just can't take care of them anymore, there is a crisis diversion slot and you can call and ask about that. SSI and SSDI, they are different, and we can help you figure out the differences. SSI, you should apply for when the child turns 18. At that point, the Social Security Administration will consider their income and their assets on their own. So this is why we always say your child should not have more than $2,000 in their name, because if they have more than $2,000 outside of either the ABLE account or the special needs trust or the combination of both, if they have more than $2,000, they won't qualify for those SSI benefits. Before they turn 18, most people are declined for SSI because they are looking at the parents' income and assets. And so if you as a parent have more than $2,000 or $3,000 if you're married, one house and one car, then you won't qualify. But like I said, when the child turns 18, that's when it's really important to get that application in and make sure it is correct and done right to get the biggest benefit you deserve. ABLE accounts, we've already talked about a little bit. Beneficiary designations. What to think about with that is, most people, anytime there's a beneficiary designation, maybe on my bank account has a transfer on death clause. So who is going to be the beneficiary? My life insurance account, my whatever, all of my 401k and investments. People always say, oh, well, that's easy. First, it's going to go to my husband or spouse or whatever. And then if they are no longer around, it will go equally be divided between my children. And that's very, very common that people sign things up that way. And that's very, very wrong if you have a special needs child, because that will make your child have more than $2,000 in assets and they will lose those SSI benefits. It's really important to keep those benefits and to remain eligible for Medicaid and the waivers and all of that. So you just want to check on your beneficiaries. It needs to go to a special needs trust, not have the child directly named. Even in cases where the child is not special needs or delayed in any way, even neurotypical children should not be left large amounts of money, because as soon as they turn 18, if it's a life insurance policy or something like that, as soon as they turn 18, they get a huge lump sum of money. And I don't know about you, your kids are all probably brilliant, but if my 18-year-old was given a large sum of money right now, I imagine he'd have like 4 or 5 really, really cool cars and not much else. He's smart though, he's really smart. Special needs trusts and how to fund them. We talked about setting them up. And we talked about the fact that, it can be the beneficiary and life insurance or whatever can go in there. So you need to think about what's going to go into the special needs trust, how you're going to fund that. If there is a divorce situation and there's child support, that's another area that can cost those benefits and be a real problem. If child support is going to continue past age 18, you need to have that redirected to a special needs trust. It's easier to set that up on the front end than to go back later and ask for it to be changed. But that can be done. That's fine. It's just a little easier if you set it up ahead of time. And again, start touring those residential living facilities early. If you're thinking that right out of high school at age 18-ish or 21 or 22, if they're in the 18 plus program at school. But once they're done with high school, if you're thinking that your child would do best in a residential place, you should start touring those and thinking about that before the time comes, because there can be a wait. Again, guardianship, supported decision-making, power of attorneys, healthcare power of attorneys, those are all things that you need to be thinking about as well. I saw setting up.
Yes, we've got a question. How much does it usually cost for setting up S&T?
The special needs trust, there are a couple of different ways that you can get those set up. And again, I said, this is through an attorney. So you will have to talk to an attorney to do this. However, there's two different kinds. You can have it set up as a testamentary special needs trust, which means that it is written in your will that at the time of your death, a special needs trust will be established and these things will be put into it. That price, I assume, is built into the price of just doing your will. There could also be a special needs trust that is set up apart from your will and maybe open like right now. If your child, maybe there's a settlement, or maybe there's a large inheritance or a large amount of money that needs to go into a special needs trust right now instead of when you die, that I've heard anywhere from $1,500 to $5,000. So it's important that you talk to an attorney. We do have some price sheets available for certain attorneys, but really the best option, and most of them do a free consultation just like we do. So you can have a free consultation with an attorney and find out those things from them. It is a wide range, and I'm sorry that I don't have a more concise number for you. But there you go. The special needs trust. Okay, I'm getting into the chat too, because I love seeing what you guys have to say. Can the trust be funded with life insurance policies? Yes, yes, yes. And that is what we recommend. A lot of people want to become self-sufficient and self-insured, and that's great. We would love for everybody to be able to do that. But a life insurance policy is another great way to transfer wealth onto your family. And you can definitely fund that special needs trust with life insurance. This meeting is going to be emailed. It is being recorded. We'll email the link to everybody who registered, and all of our webinars live on our YouTube channel at Consolidated Planning Group on YouTube. You can go back and check out all the webinars we've done in the past. The one-time fee for, I don't know, maybe I've already answered that. Okay, so I think we're doing good on time. This is the Consolidated Planning Group team. There's Allison and Jeff, first of all, the owners of the company. And then there's myself and my husband, Andy. So this is two teams of husband and wives working together. We work on a collaborative basis. So you're not calling a giant company with 3,000 employees and you have to wait 45 minutes for somebody to answer the phone. And then when they do, they don't know who you are or what your situation is. you're just calling us. You're calling my cell phone. I actually answer it. You're calling this small team. We're independent. We are not tied to working with any larger company. We work with all the large companies. We are members of the Special Needs Planning Academy, and we are National Social Security advisors. We also have Meredith, who helps set up all these great webinars and is our marketing guru. And we have some girls who help in the office with paperwork and getting our appointments set up and making sure we're on track and slapping our hands when that needs to happen as well. So as I mentioned, we always do a free personalized consultation. We try to answer as many immediate questions related to special needs as we can. Like I said, advocacy and education is really one of our dear goals in our hearts. We want to help. Now, we would also like to get paid. So after that free initial consultation, we have 3 planning packages that you can move forward with if you would like to work with us. You can go ahead and set up a consultation by using this QR code. You know how that works, right? You just hold up your phone, you put it to camera, you put that little QR code in the camera and a link should pop up. And once you click that link, it'll be to our calendar system. You can schedule your appointment right there. You could also call the office and they can set up a meeting for you there. We are on Facebook, Consolidated Planning Group on Facebook. We advertise all of our webinars and some other things going on in the community and in the financial world, if you will. And we're on YouTube. Like I said, all of our webinars go to our YouTube channel, and you can check out all of the topics that we've already done. They are so helpful. And you can look at the ones that Allison has done, because she does a great job. I'm not going to put myself down and say she does way better than me, but she does a great job. So that's it for me today. You are having the opportunity to get out of here a little bit early, go finish up your lunch or whatever you need to do. If there are no more questions that pop up, then I guess that would be it. So couple last seconds. Any other questions?
Michelle, I just want to say thank you again for taking the time to introduce us to so many topics, and we look forward to seeing everyone next year.
Yes. Next year, I'll definitely be doing more of these presentations, and I'm so excited because I really enjoy doing these and talking to people. So we hope to see many of you back as many times as you want, and to help spread the word and share the information.
Thank you. Goodbye.
All right. Thank you, everybody. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your week. Oh, hey, it's Friday, right? Have a great weekend. And thank you so much for joining us today. And we look forward to talking to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.